Welcome to today's episode of Spelling Bee Ninja, where we dive into the fascinating world of statistics. Whether you're in middle school, high school, or anywhere in between, understanding statistics is incredibly valuable. It helps us make sense of the information that surrounds us, from analyzing sports performances to interpreting data in the news. So, let's buckle up as we explore the basics of statistics, including averages, graphs, and data interpretation. Let's start with the very foundation. What is statistics? Statistics is the science of collecting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting data. In our daily lives, we encounter statistics everywhere. For example, think about sports averages. Coaches rely on statistics to make team decisions. Weather forecasts? They analyze past patterns to predict future conditions. Even election polls use statistical methods to gauge public opinion. This makes it crucial for us to understand key aspects of statistics to make informed decisions. Moving on, one of the cornerstone concepts in statistics is the mean, often referred to as the average. To calculate the mean, you add together all the values in a data set and then divide by the number of values. For instance, if we have 5 students with scores of 85, 90, 75, 95, and 100, the mean score can be calculated by summing these scores and dividing by the total number of students. In this case, the total is 445, so when we divide that by 5, we find that the average score is 89. Simple, right? Next, we look at the median, which is the middle value in a set of numbers arranged in order. The median is particularly useful because it's not skewed by outliers. Consider the weekly allowances of a group of students. If 7 students receive allowances of $2, $3, $5, $5, $4, $10, and $50, how do we find the median? First, we arrange the data from smallest to largest, and in this case, the middle value lands on $5, as it's the 4th number in the sorted list. This tells us that most students receive around $5, regardless of that unusual $50 allowance. Now we shift our focus to mode. The mode is the value that appears most frequently in a data set. A fun example involves students polling their favorite ice cream flavors. If 12 preferred chocolate, 8 preferred vanilla, 5 preferred strawberry, and 12 preferred mint, we can see chocolate and mint are the modes of this data set since they both appear the most often. The next concept is range, which measures how spread out our data is. Range is calculated by subtracting the smallest value from the largest one. Imagine we recorded the daily high temperatures in Fahrenheit for a week: 72, 74, 71, 73, 75, 72, and a boiling 98 degrees. By calculating range, we find that the highest temperature is 98 and the lowest is 71, giving us a range of 27 degrees. Now that we have a grasp on means, medians, modes, and ranges, let's discuss graphs. Bar graphs and histograms are vital in displaying data visually, but they serve different purposes. Bar graphs show categorical data, like hairstyles or shoe sizes, and have spaces between their bars. Histograms, however, represent numerical data grouped into intervals without spaces. For example, we might use a histogram to show test scores across a range of grades, illustrating how many students scored within defined intervals. As we study statistics, we also come across populations and samples. A population refers to the entire group being studied, while a sample is just a smaller part of that group, often selected for practical reasons like cost or feasibility. For example, a factory might test a sample of light bulbs instead of every single one to ensure efficiency and accuracy. When dealing with different types of data, recognizing when to use mean, median, or mode is essential. If our data is symmetrical and without outliers, like test scores in a controlled environment, then using the mean is appropriate. However, if our data has outliers or is skewed, the median becomes a better choice. If we think about real estate, imagine a neighborhood where most homes are priced between $200,000 and $400,000, but there is one mansion worth $8 million. Relying on the average price could misrepresent the typical home value. In this case, the median home price would provide a much clearer picture. Lastly, let's talk about the nature of data. Data can be symmetric or skewed. When it is symmetric, the mean is close to the median. When skewed to the right, high-value outliers pull the mean above the median. Conversely, when data is skewed left, low-value outliers pull the mean below the median. Understanding how to identify and interpret these patterns can reveal a great deal about the nature of the data we are studying. Moving ahead, we must be cautious, as statistics can be misleading when not presented carefully. For example, a graph can exaggerate differences if the y-axis doesn't start at zero, or if it displays a non-representative sample. Awareness of these pitfalls helps ensure we accurately interpret the information presented in graphs, reports, or studies. So now that you've learned about the fundamental concepts in statistics, from measures of central tendency to how data distribution works, let's summarize through a few reminders. It's crucial to rely on the appropriate measurement for your data, recognize your data's distribution, and be skeptical of how statistics are visually represented. Each of these elements contributes to a more nuanced and informed understanding, making you not just consumers of data, but analysts who can interpret findings critically. To recap, we've covered essential concepts in statistics. We explored the mean, median, mode, and range, emphasizing how these measures allow us to summarize and analyze data effectively. We learned about visual representations like bar graphs and histograms, the importance of distinguishing between populations and samples, and the role of symmetry and skewness in data distribution. Moreover, we were reminded to remain vigilant about how statistics can sometimes mislead us, making it vital to interpret data carefully. This knowledge gives you a powerful toolkit to navigate the data-driven world around us. Thank you for joining us today on this exciting journey through the world of statistics. We hope you feel more confident in your understanding of data and how to analyze it. Remember to explore the resources mentioned earlier to deepen your knowledge. Stay curious, keep questioning, and continue learning with Spelling Bee Ninja. Until next time, keep those statistics in mind as you navigate everyday life, and have a great day.